You know the reason of Floyd Shivambu leaving the EFF and joining the MK party is still something many people still want to dive into and understand actually what is this all about, because Malema hasn't said much about it and the Floyd Shivambu hasn't said much about it. It remains a mystery, and one day I believe it's going to be solved. But according to GOGO or Matshiqi, today I got his name right, Matshiqi, he is saying that it might have been maybe that there was battling of two ambitious guys in one small party, whereby it ended up being a small party. One didn't want to be a DP anymore. Maybe Julius Malema was threatened by the intelligence of the Floyd Shivambu. Maybe Floyd Shivambu was threatened by the charismatic leadership Julius Malema possessed. But it is what it is. Listen here.
Now let's zoom in on Floyd. That is one of the most important events of the year. That is Floyd leaving the EFF. Now, division of labor in political parties can either occur organically or it may be a product of conscious decisions. Julius Malema is a gifted politician. And I don't say this approvingly all the time.
Absolutely.
There are times I think he's a gifted politician for all the wrong reasons. Because of all that is wrong about politics and politicians. But he is a gifted politician.
Absolutely.
Perversely and otherwise. Floyd Shivambu is not Julius Malema. Doesn't come with the same charisma. Doesn't come with the same gift. Doesn't have the same gift of Julius Malema. You know? So there's a division of labor that emerges in the EFF. Julius Malema, the leader. But also remember that relationship between Floyd and Julius. Julius as the leader, or the voorpert, so to speak, comes from the Youth League, from their time in the Youth League. And there's something feudal, by the way, about the relationship between Julius Malema as president of the Youth League and the rest of the Youth League. In my observation, members of the Youth League related to Julius as if they were relating to a monarch. And I think that tendency migrated to the EFF. And I think that tendency has not always served the EFF. And it's one of the problems with the EFF, in my view. This feudal relationship between the leader and the rest of the party. Now, in terms of this division of labor I'm talking about, Floyd Shivambu is the brains. This is not the man who's going to wow a crowd. But this is the man who's going to give content to the one who wows the crowd. Managing that relationship requires a lot of maturity. In a leader that is insecure, someone like Floyd becomes a threat. Now, I'm not saying that's what happened here. I don't know. Maybe that's what happened here. But a lack of maturity can produce two things. You have this gifted leader who can wow a crowd, who is charismatic and all of that, who cannot tolerate the fact that the gifts of a particular type of intelligence lie not with him but with someone like Floyd. Now, with someone like Floyd, again, I'm not saying this is what happened, but if we're doing an analysis with them, I would investigate whether this is the case. Is this what happened? With someone like Floyd, there comes a time when intelligent people worship the intellect. This tendency is at its worst when they start worshipping their own intellect. Once they start worshipping their own intellect, they are on their way to conflict between them and those who are threatened by that intellect. This is what may or may not have happened to the EFF, to the relationship between Floyd and Malema. Now, managing that kind of relationship, as I said, requires a lot of maturity. A maturity that may not have always existed in this relationship. Now, the fact that certain gifts of leadership reside in Julius, not in Floyd, may not have meant that Floyd has no greater ambition. In other words, his ambitions are not limited to being a backroom guy who influences the content of policy and strategy. To your point about the personal in politics, I think we can safely say that at some point personality clashes, overtly or otherwise, do emerge between the two. And the EFF becomes too small for the two of them. And therefore one of them has to exit. Now, if I'm correct with some of these suppositions, Floyd is going to run into the same problem in the MK party. His intellect is going to be the source of conflict between him and others in the MK party. I remember listening to an interview between Tim Modise and Thabo Mbeki's mother. And the last question he asks Thabo Mbeki's mother is, what advice would you give to your son? And Mrs. Mbeki says, he must listen to others. He is not the only one who has ideas. Others have ideas too. I would give the same advice to Floyd Shivambu. Otherwise, his time in the EFF, in the MK party, is not going to be a good time. Yeah.
Well, Gogo, I think that's all we have time for today. We have had the longest conversation we've ever had of 2 hours.